Hey, it's JD here, and I really hope you're enjoying the countdown so far. I want to tell you about something special we've got going on, though. Every year we do something called a pod list. It's a podcast playlist where I solicit you, the listener, to create your favorite pavement jams. That's right, if you are musically talented, or even if you are not. Get your band together or pick up your fucking acoustic guitar and jam your fucking balls out. That's what I want. From there, take the WAV file, email it to me at jd@meetingmalchmus.com or send it via WeTransfer, and Bob's your uncle. That's all it takes, and you will be on the Meeting Malchmus Pod List 5. And now, on with the countdown.
Previously on the Pavement Top 50.
At track 32, we have the song Grave Architecture.
Come on in. Yeah, sorry. Let's try to sneak that in. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I stepped on it.
That's okay. I should have prepared you.
What are your initial thoughts of Grave Architecture?
This was a funny one that when you said it to me, I have a long, I think I said before, I think the album that I really kind of really grabbed me was Wowie Zowie, and yeah, this song's like the come on in, like right away, like, oh yeah.
Hey, this is Westy from the rock and roll band Pavement, and you're listening to the countdown.
Hey, it's JD here, back for another episode of our Top 50 Countdown for seminal indie rock band Pavement. Week over week, we're going to count down the 50 essential Pavement tracks that you selected with your very own top 20 ballots. I then tabulated the results using an abacus and an old pair of socks. You know, the kind that have toes in them? How will your favorite song fare in the ranking? You will need to tune in to find out. So there's that. This week, I'm joined by Pavement superfan Scott from North Dakota. Scott,
yes.
How are you doing, motherfucker?
I'm doing well, and you, sir?
I am excellent. I'm always excellent when I get to talk Pavement with somebody.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, grew up in Minnesota, small town, but not that far from the Twin Cities. And it's small towns, things come slowly. And I don't want to say a late adopter to Pavement, but I graduated in 1996 from high school, and I was all about the grunge movement, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all of that. And I didn't know much about indie rock at all, or any indie anything, until I went to college. I had heard of Pavement when I was in high school. I had friends who were into them, but I was so, set on grunge that it's like, this is what we're going to listen to. And I kind of wrote them off at first without hearing them, because for whatever reason, I was like, oh, Pavement, it's like going to be heavy, more industrial, maybe like East German KMFDM, or, something really that I might not enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I was completely wrong about that. A friend I was just riding with a friend, and it was right when Brighton the Corners came out.
Okay.
And we were just riding in his car, and I was like, what is this? And he's like, this is Pavement. And I was like, no. And I was like, this is not what Pavement sounds like. And it literally from there was just a beeline to the store to pick up everything I could get my hands on. And, would have been my last, 2 years of college, give or take. And it was obviously Pavement was up there. And then right at that same time, Built to Spill, Modest Mouse, all these, other indie bands. But Pavement was the one that I was just like, oh my God, where has this been my whole life?
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah. And, it changes your life. It really, really does. It's, cliche, but it's like music saves people. And it's like, once I found this, or once this was presented to me, it's what I wanted to hear all the time.
Yeah.
And so I went out, bought that. And I remember buying, so I went a little out of order, because again, this is still, there weren't a ton of fan sites. There wasn't a ton on the internet. So you just had to go and buy and see what happened. And I picked up Terror Twilight, which, divisive record, for some people. For me, absolutely loved it. There's so much stuff in there that was just jangly and interesting and different. And fun, but also, I mean, it's hard to explain, but I remember like growing up as a kid and radio was all we had. And every song was about love, and it was just straight up hitting you over the head with it. And here was something that you had to go decipher these lyrics, and you could decipher them in 1,000 different ways. And if you got sick of the lyrics, you could just go and listen to, the music itself. And that was just something that, I had been looking for forever. So that would have been roughly like 1998, 99. And I was living in Minneapolis. I got an internship, and I got to see them on that last tour. So the first time
in 99?
Yeah. I got
wow.
I saw them. I remember this too, because they played 2 dates and I only could go to one, because the other date I was seeing Slater Kinney. They were like back-to-back nights. So I was an intern at the time. So, I was working during the day, and then as much as I can, I'd go to First Avenue where the show was. And I remember very little, because it was, again, 1999. Yeah. But I remember they opened with Here, which I thought was just such an odd opener, because it's just such a chill, just laid back, didn't come out with a big punch, and it just set the tone. And I remember, what I remember about that gig is Stephen, or Malchmus, had Christmas lights, but they weren't, around his microphone stand. That was just about it for stage presence. And again, this is the first time I've seen this band. When I'd only seen pictures before that, I actually, when I looked at them, I didn't know who the singer was, and I thought Mark was the singer,
because he stands in the center.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that he's got to be the singer. And nope, you get there, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I remember buying after that, the Major League EP or the single with the additional ones. And, I got very into them, and then they went away. And I was like, oh, well, this sucks, and they never were far from my playlist. They were always there. And it was the first band that I really remember going, oh, I won't get to see these guys again. And that was frustrating, because I had felt like I had only gotten into them a year or a year and a half before. And yes, could I have gotten to them earlier? Sure. If I had been born in a bigger town with better radio, with better, a college town maybe, where that could have been a lot more easily found. But, growing up in rural Minnesota, you got AM radio, you got farm reports, and then you got pop radio. So it was very difficult to find those. But yeah, that's kind of my beginning with the band, and just becoming infatuated with them.
So, question.
Yeah.
Oh shit! It slipped my mind.
Oh no!
What was the question? Oh, the question was, so did that lead you to SM solo work or PSOI or anything like that?
Yeah, I was, and that's, we'll get to that. I have some linkage there, but that's okay. Yeah, I immediately went out and followed the solo work, which again, the first record just blew me away. And I listened to it on just repeat forever. And I would say, at least with the solo stuff, the first 4 albums, I just ate up. And after that, it wasn't because I thought the music was any different. It's more that I just got older and I was listening to less new music. And that's something I've
Weird how that happens. Right?
I hate it though. I finally figured out that if, and it took me till here, that if you keep listening to new music, if you make time for it, it comes right back, the enjoyment, and I've tried to set aside and, just shut the TV off and listen to music for an hour, and it's really helped. But
I do that every morning. Every morning I get up around 5:30 and I listen to at least one record, or a playlist or whatnot. And that sort of sets the tone for my day.
Yeah. See, and I'm an accountant and a teacher by trade. So I teach at a local community college, but I do taxes on the side. And this is busiest time of year for me, but
I bet
I can pour through, 6, 7 albums in a sitting, having the music on while I work, and just pound away and work. and the music will still just kind of seep in. And upon, second or third listenings, all of a sudden I'm going back and I'm like, I got to hear this song particularly again, because there's something in there. And that's really helped. But long story longer, those solo records were, and whether it was, technically him or him with the Jicks, and I saw him, I don't know, a couple times on those tours when he would come through Minneapolis, and again, loved it, absolutely loved it. And he did it in store at the Electric Fetus in Minneapolis, a pretty famous record store for Minneapolis. And I remember being intimidated because the stuff you read, he's aloof, he's kind of standoffish, but he's very intelligent. And he played, I don't know, 3 or 4 songs off whatever record that was. And then you sign up and you shake hands. And he talked to me for like 5 minutes. And he couldn't have been more gracious with everyone in line. And I was like, oh, this is great. They say don't meet your heroes. And I'm like, well, no, this is fantastic. This was a really nice situation. So.
Yeah, I've only ever had good experiences, but I'm like you, very nervous because he's just so goddamn cool. Like that's like you can't plan for that intangible,
right?
The coolness factor, It's difficult to relate to, especially for me. I'm cool and underqualified.
Oh yeah, and I'm just like grew up Southern California, playing tennis and doing all these things, and but also with skateboarding, and then he was in bands like still when he was in high school and stuff, and it's all these stuff that I had kids like that in high school too, but I felt the same way. I'm like, these guys are cool. And I mean, I took piano lessons forever, but I never translated that into
right.
thinking about, you could be in a band or you could do something, and it was just like, nope, it's piano, it's nerdy, it's never gonna work. And it's like,
Ben Folds would argue with you.
Oh yeah, that's true, that's very true.
So what's your go-to record at this point? Is it Brighton still? Like, because that was your first, or
no?
Or obviously it changes over the years.
Yeah, for the longest time it was Crooked Rain, just because
it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, and again, just out the gate, just how the shambling start of that record,
yep.
And then the cowbell kicks in and just. I still get goosebumps from that. And for a long time, that was it. And my not least favorite, but I thought Wowie Zowie for the longest time there's so many weird songs on there. Like you take a song like Half a Canyon, which I adore, but it is weird. It is out there, and he's just, screaming, and it's kind of nonsense. And I find myself now going to Wowie Zowie, because it is so, just starting off with We Dance, which is again just this kind of slow burning, kind of almost ballady at points.
Yes.
And then just the rest of that record with Grave Architecture and Pueblo and Grounded, and those are just the ones off the top of my head. But again, AT&T, and it did top to bottom, and it's a little bit longer record, which I like as well.
When you've only got 5 LPs to sort of satiate yourself. Now there's lots of EPs too, but
yes,
5 main LPs, long is nice, right?
Right. Which again, just to, I always have liked that. And I'm a Modest Mouse fan as well. Not that, we need to get into that, but Modest Mouse's first 2 albums were like both 74 minutes. And
wow.
This is also back. Yeah, this is also back when like a CD would cost $15 to $18, and I didn't have a lot of money. So, I would buy these records that had so much music on it when I could. And I just appreciated that. But that longer album, and it really ebbs and flows as well, which I love. And it can go from just something that's really simple and straightforward to something that other bands, it might end up as a B-side or on the cutting room floor because it is that different. But absolutely love that record now. That's my go-to.
Yeah, it's a good one. And it harkens back to those original 3 EPs with some of the more, minute and a half, like noise art
Mhm.
sort of gems that are on there.
Which again, getting into watery domestic and
Oh God.
all of that, like the first time I heard like forklift, I'm like, what is this? and you compare that to, like anything off the later stuff, and it's a weird transition, but
Sure
a lot of bands do that. They start off, either fast and punky or weird, or they don't know what they're doing. And the songs are like a minute and a half, but you can still sense the structure there. You can sense that this could be, building to something. And like a lot of those first, I don't go back to a ton of the stuff prior to Slanted. I think because of that, because I didn't find out about a lot of these. I didn't have access to them. Yeah. You couldn't download them. Most of it was out of print. You'd be lucky if you could find it in a secondhand bin.
That's right.
And if you did, hooray, really hunting for records. And those are the ones I don't revisit a ton, but there are also so many gems in there as well that I'm like, you really need to give that a better chance.
It's nice that it's on vinyl now too.
Yes.
That the Westing compilation is on vinyl. Like
Yep.
That's a treat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because those EPs are, especially Slate tracks, is tough to get your hands on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't buy as much vinyl as I used to, but I used to have a big problem of going on to eBay and just any 7-inch I could get my hands on,
Right.
Like anything that I could really, really knock down. And, if it's a reasonable price, I bought it because why not? And I've tapered that a little bit, but I don't know if I'm missing like at least a US single. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I haven't looked in a while, but I grabbed as many of those as I could, just because I couldn't get them anywhere else.
Right. Yeah. Did you go to any of the reunion shows like in 2010 or in 2022?
Yep. In 2010, they played at a terrible venue in Minneapolis called the Roy Wilkins Auditorium, which is, it's an auditorium that was built, I don't know, in the 20s or 30s. It's just concrete. The sound is miserable. It has a huge main floor, which gives you room to spread out, which was fun. And they opened with Cut Your Hair, which I was like, yep, perfect. Yeah. Just get it, not get it out of the way, but so tongue in cheek that I just loved it. And I got to see them there. And then I went to Pitchfork Fest that year as well, to see them. So I got to see them twice there.
Where was the Pitchfork Fest? In Chicago?
Yep, in Chicago. And I'd been to that a couple of times. I lived in Minneapolis, and I had my, I was seeing someone whose brother he was going to grad school down there. So we had a free place to stay, which makes, Chicago, Chicago's reasonable now.
Yeah. We
can drive down, we can take the L and just have a great time. And, it's a festival, so you're far away, but I, had my stupid little digital camera. I still have videos somewhere, of that, but no, it was,
wow.
Well, it was one of those things where it's like, this is a band that was so important to me when they were a band, like in a 2-3 year period. And like, there's still stuff I'm listening to. It's still always going back to it, but now they're coming back. And again, it was a thing I never thought would happen. Just like the Pixies were never going to happen, just like the Replacements were never going to happen. And those happened. So I was, ecstatic.
Never say never.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think we get to track 31? Give it a spin and come back on the other side and talk about track number 31.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Bob Nastanovich from Pavement. Thanks for listening. And now on with a countdown.
31.
Increase never told her daddy I roundly disagree with you. Your vocal style's too preachy. All the yokels mock your teaching. But Cotton, he was just so oblivious to all their cutting pleas. Soon the town folk took to it. In every pew they looked to him for guidance. Just by guileless lambs awaiting that old kebab stand. The skeptics form, the nation's born, want to have it cotton's tree, but increase had them out to them they burn on open fire. So the word spread just like smallpox in the Sudan. Gentry cry, give it a day, 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 give it a day. Years and years have passed since the Puritans invaded our soul, just like those Arab terrorists. You'll never know, but today the gods can't make us quake. We see our lives as situations, eyes are eyes and teeth are teeth. Well, mine are rotten underneath. I got two ways we can separate from the clan. I could fly, I hope you profited from this bulletin and stabilized your land. You gentrified your Alzheimer clan, but your father is another one of them. I don't want to mention him again, cause I talked to him last night. He hates my guts. We had a fight and he called you a slut. Girl, why is that? What did you do to him to make him think?
At 31, give it a day. What do you think, Scott from North Dakota?
This is a gem, and I love it so much. I love the whole EP because, again, this would have been something I did not discover until, well after I knew all of Wowie Zowie, all of Brighton the Corners, and it wasn't something I easily could, have. And they said, we're not going to waste this time. So they came together, and I mean, the whole EP itself, less than 10 minutes, but it is so much fun the entire time. And Give It a Day itself, like, I love lyrics. I love knowing the lyrics, and I don't often put too much thought into that. But when you go read, I mean, about the people that are in the song, referencing Increase Mather and John Cotton and Cotton Mather and the Puritans. And it's almost like, was somebody reading a book about the Puritans and the Salem witch trials and these people, and we're like, you know what, we can actually, I just read something about this, we can throw it together. And it's just top to bottom, just lick after lick after lick, and the poppiness and the looseness of it. And yes, I mean,
total pop jam.
I mean, and
the melody is infectious.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those two where it clocks in. I got Wikipedia I'm looking at here, but it clocks in at 2:37, and I'll find myself listening to just that song for like 10, 15 minutes in a row, because it's and every time, whether it's the chorus, whether it's the very beginning where the lyrics start right away, whether it's the last line of the song, what did you do to him to make him think? Which, again, it's kind of like I think it's at the end of Crooked Rain, or maybe it's the other one where it just kind of trails off. It's like almost a sentence, but not.
Yeah.
And yeah, top to bottom, just fun. And again, on that EP with followed up with Gangsters and Pranksters, which another gem that's just very, very fun. And
they were in a fun mood, weren't they?
Yeah. And it does. And this is the kind of thing too, where it brings me to some of his early solo work, that there's just fun songs in it. And these are fun songs. It's not, there's a certain way I feel when I hear Grounded or, We Dance, that it's almost like this, not solemn, but I'm not happy when I'm listening to it. Like if Grounded comes on at a certain time, it cripples me. And this will never cripple me. This will always pick me up. And I love that in a song. Where you can just put it on and be happy.
Do you remember Nike used to have this app that you could have on your phone and you could program a power song? So if you were running, and you got to the near end, you could click right to your power song and it would drive you through the finish line. My power song happens to be Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves.
Wow,
it's so bouncy and so fun. But I could easily see it being Give It a Day because it's also very bouncy and fun. Now, obviously the lyrics are darker, but the way he's singing them, the cadence of the way he's singing them, like the phrasing is sublime.
Yep. And again, like you said, there is a ton of dark, connotations in there that unless, like, again, I went and looked up Wikipedia because I was like, I know these names and I think they have something to do with this. And then I read about it and I'm like, yeah, this is a dark part of American history. And it's just like, no, it's just eyes and eyes and teeth are teeth, but mine are rotten underneath. It's like just the wordsmithing. I love it. Yeah.
And the funny thing is he probably, some of it like melodically came up with it on the fly, like in that session. Like, I don't know how many days they recorded, but I don't think it was many.
I
maybe
thought
3.
They said it was 4.
Okay.
Which, I mean, even to come up with anything. And they did, again, I learned this reading, but the No More Kings, which is on that Schoolhouse Rock record.
Oh, okay.
They did at the same time, I guess, which that was news to me. So, but that's, that they got that much done in that little time. And yes, there were only 3 of them, Spiral and Mark weren't there, which again, kind of leans me into his solo work a little bit. Cause there are things that, you look at Jenny and the S-Dog, which is, just a gem, it tells this story. And same thing here. We got this really light and poppy and just repetitive, like a song that you can repeat really quickly and easily. But if you dig into it, it's like, oh no. So
yeah, I'm with you 110%. Is there anything else about the song that you want to discuss?
I think it's interesting that there's only one chorus.
Yeah.
It's just in the middle and it's repeated and how he does it and how he staggers it I've always loved, because it's like each one is slightly different.
Yes.
And the last one just kind of fades out and it's like, could we have added another section to that? And would that have added or taken away from the song? Because I'm not a huge short song person because I get to the end and I'm like, I got to hear that again. I got to hear it again. But if you give me something that's 12 or 15 minutes, sometimes I can just kind of get lost in it.
Right.
Certain things, like old Mogwai and, old other stuff that is a huge, just really dense chunk of material that I can't see trimming down. But if you added to this, would it take away from it as well? I
don't know, but the one thing I can venture a guess on is if it had another 45 seconds, this would be like a single, I don't know if it would have been a smash hit single, but to me, it's got single written all over it. It's so catchy. It's so goddamn catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, so this you said this is 31?
31. So is it properly rated in your book or should it be higher rated? Should it be lower rated?
It's tough. I always find that tough with any band ranking them when you look at EPs and, maybe split singles, because it's not an album release. And this is, someone quoted that, it's right here. It isn't much more than a throwaway, but an extremely enjoyable one. And I think where it is, I don't think it's overachieving. I think it's pretty close. I don't think it would make my top 20 just because I was so ingrained on the LPs for so long And I mean, I didn't even have an actual copy of this until the expanded edition of Wowie Zowie came out. I had heard it plenty of times, but I never had owned a copy. So I didn't have the repetition with it like I did everything else. So I think it's pretty close. I think for it to be a 2 minute and 37-second song that is just enjoyable front to back, no all killer, no filler, I think it's pretty close to where it should be.
Nice. Well, that's what I've got for you. I really want to thank you so much, Scott from North Dakota.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to plug at all?
Not really. No? I just in a music enjoyer that I'm so happy that these guys did another reunion tour as well, which now that I had time and a little bit of money, so I got to see them 3 more times on this tour, which
brilliant.
I got to see them in St. Paul, and then I just went to Chicago for 2 shows. And just, again, what amazed me about those shows too is the first tour they went through, the set list I guess didn't move that much, and about the only song I didn't get to hear that I wanted to, 3 nights in a row they didn't play Frontwards. And I was dying to hear Frontwards. They played it the night before and the night after. But night to night, I think the set switched, because huge sets too. They're playing 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I think the songs changed almost 50% night to night, which if I'm going to
outdid himself.
Oh my God. If I'm going to go 3 nights in a row and I'm going to get, sure, I'm going to get maybe Cut Your Hair all 3 nights, which is fine. It's not my favorite song, but I got Pueblo, I got Grounded twice, I got Folk Jam, which I love Folk Jam, just such a weird, funky little song. And
Did you get the Hex?
Yes, we got the Hex.
Jammed the fuck out of that, right?
Oh my God. And that's the thing. Like, I used to think Finn was my favorite closing song. Yeah. And going back and listening to the Hex with the guitar solos, and like, I love Finn because I love how it fades out and just keeps fading and fading, and I just keep turning up the volume until it's absolutely gone. And the Hex is just this beast of a sprawling thing, and just oh yeah, love that. So and the last night I treated myself. I literally was orchestra pit, front row center. I was like, nice. I'm a single guy. I don't have anything, outside of, I don't have kids or anything to spend money on except myself. So I can be a little bit, whatever, but absolutely worth it. Just being right up front, and hopefully whatever these guys keep doing, they keep doing it. They seem to be enjoying it. They're obviously due for a break and to get back to, Preston School of Industry and Malchmus' solo stuff and whatever the other, and, and Nastanovich doing horse stuff. They have other interests, but that they've been able to do this for now, 2 years. Yeah. That's fantastic. And I couldn't be happier with it.
If I was a man of unlimited means, I'd be going to South America for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I mean, luckily for me, it happened during it was in Chicago, and again, I teach. I get 2 personal days a year. I used them both in September because, of course, I'm not going to miss Pavement. So for the rest of the year, I had no personal days. I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. No problem at all.
You did well, and you did well today too. I really want to thank you so much.
Yeah, this was awesome.
So take good care of yourself and make sure to wash your goddamn hands. Thanks for listening to Meeting Malchmus, a Pavement podcast, where we count down the top 50 Pavement tracks, as selected by you. If you've got questions or concerns, please shoot me an email, jd@meetingmalchmus.com.
Do podcasts and such.